Shalom everyone, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan here, and we are live in the middle of the night in Israel. I don't know what the time is wherever you are, but we are in the middle of the night. I'm in Tel Aviv, and I'm here to give you a live update on the situation on the ground in Israel. It has been an extremely difficult day. It started with an unprecedented attack into Israel, where Hamas crossed the border. Hundreds of Hamas terrorists got in from Gaza into Israel, and their goal was to kill and abduct as many Israelis as possible. And today, I don't know what you've been watching, if you've seen videos on social media, but I've seen videos that I would rather unsee of Israeli civilians butchered, executed in their homes, of women, children, elderly, and disabled Israeli civilians being dragged into Gaza by Hamas terrorists, and Israeli civilians paraded on the streets by Hamas thugs after they were taken violently from Israel. The numbers today are very, very difficult. We're talking about unprecedented numbers in Israeli history. Never ever before have so many Israeli civilians been killed by terrorists in one single day. There's more than 300 Israeli dead, and there's more than 1,500 Israeli casualties. Many of them, unfortunately, are severely wounded and may succumb to their wounds. Today has been a very difficult day, and unfortunately I fear that tomorrow will also be an extremely difficult day, because tomorrow the numbers and the names of Israelis killed or wounded or missing and abducted will become apparent. And a giant cloud of grief will descend upon Israel when so many families it will become apparent that their loved ones have been murdered by or wounded by Hamas. There is, unfortunately, sadly, a large amount of Israelis in the hands of Hamas in Gaza. As I'm saying this, I can't believe that I am saying this, but I am saying it. And this is also an unprecedented situation where there are Israeli civilians and military personnel in the hands of a terrorist organization. And we are not, unfortunately, talking about one or two. So all of this together, a multi-dimensional attack from Gaza into Israel, with hundreds of Palestinian terrorists that participated in the attack, with extremely difficult results on the ground. And I almost forgot that in the midst of everything, more than 3,000 rockets have also been fired at Israel today. And of course, adding to the wounded and killed in Israel, the civilians getting wounded and killed by Hamas. So when we look back at today, it is an unprecedented attack in its audacity, in its cruelty, and in its results. And since it's an unprecedented attack against Israel, then our response as the IDF will be unprecedented in scope and severity. And we will start to make Hamas pay a price that it has never paid before, because the audacity and the cruelty of their attack against Israel and against Israeli civilians, it's something that we won't let go unpunished. The videos that Hamas has posted today can only be compared to the barbaric images that ISIS, Daesh, and other crazy medieval jihadi outfit of terrorists active a few years ago in the Middle East. You may remember them, ISIS, Daesh. They used to behead people or torch them alive, or send gruesome videos of captives and people getting killed. That's exactly what we are facing today. And the cruelty, that our civilians and unfortunately soldiers have faced today is similar to that level of lack of humanity that Hamas is displaying. But they will be punished for it. For those of you watching, I know that there are millions of you around the world who love Israel, who love the IDF, who love the Jewish people, and who support us. And we see that on our official accounts, we see it on social media, we get the messages, we feel the love, and we feel your genuine support for us, for the brave men and women in the security forces who are fighting as we speak, defending Israel. And I can assure you that it is extremely important for us, and I ask you to keep on doing it. Keep on posting, keep active, push back against slander, lies, and half-truths about Israel. And we're just in the first day of this war, and already people are trying to blame it on Israel. And Israel haters and anti-Semites will continue to do so more and more as the war unfolds, and as there are more casualties on the Palestinian side. You'll see people starting to blame Israel for what's happening. But we must all remember how this started. It started with an unprovoked, unprecedented attack by Hamas against our civilians, killing an unprecedented amount of Israelis. That's how it started. And all of the responsibility, it rests squarely on Hamas's shoulders. Israel is defending its sovereignty. Israel is defending its civilians, and it is well within its legal rights to do so. No other country would tolerate such an attack or any attack against its civilians, and Israel shouldn't be forced or questioned to tolerate it. Just like wherever you're living, your government wouldn't tolerate an attack, not even a tenth of the magnitude that we have faced today. So it's very important that whenever you see lies, distortions, fabrications, slander against Israel, and anti-Semitism and BDS disguised as care for Palestinian civilians, and lots of other nonsense, that you stand up to it and that you call out lies and liars and speak up bravely for what's right, for the truth, for Israel and for the IDF. Before we close, I want to give you an update on what's going on now as we're speaking. It's 3:38 a.m. in Israel. We've had a few hours of quiet in central Israel, where I am now in Tel Aviv, but there is still fighting ongoing in southern Israel. Rockets continue to be fired at Israeli civilians. There was a direct hit at one of our hospitals in Ashkelon, a city in the south. Fortunately, it was evacuated before, so nobody was injured, but there's significant damage to that hospital. And there are still ongoing battles in southern Israel. Unfortunately, we cannot yet say that we have the situation fully in control. And we're going door to door, house to house, making sure that each and every community close to Gaza is cleared of these vile murderers that have infiltrated into Israel, these bloodthirsty terrorists that have come into Israel in order to kill Israeli civilians and abduct them to Gaza. And that's what we're doing now. Once we'll establish that all of the terrorists are either dead or captive, and I assure you, they will all be dead or captive, at the end of that, we will close the border, make sure that there are no further terrorists coming in, not via the sea, not in the air, and not across the fence. And then we will start to strike Hamas and make him start to pay a price for his act, for their act of aggression against Israel. The Iron Dome has been performing very well, saving countless lives. More than 3,000 rockets have been fired at Israel, and we have many, many casualties. The numbers are worth reiterating. More than 300 Israelis have been killed, and more than 1,500 have been wounded. But thanks to the Iron Dome, those figures are what they are. They could have been much higher had it not been for the active and excellent interceptions of the Iron Dome. As the sun will rise tomorrow, we will awaken to a new day where Israelis will stand united behind the IDF, behind the security organizations, as we begin to take the battle to Hamas and make them pay for what they've done. It won't be swift. It will take days or weeks or months. But the Israeli cabinet, our government, has ordered the IDF to incapacitate Hamas, to make it impossible for Hamas to rule and govern the Gaza Strip and to take away all of Hamas's military capabilities. That's what the government of Israel has ordered the IDF, and that is now what the IDF is planning and starting to execute. So what I want to ask all of you, all of our millions of supporters and friends across the world, whether you're Jewish or not Jewish, whether you're Christian, or if you're just someone who is on the good side of things, a lover of freedom, of democracy, and someone who hates terrorists and the darkness that they represent. If you're on the good side, then make your voice heard. Speak up for Israel, speak up for freedom, speak up for defending what's right, and if you see lies, slander, injustices, and nonsense, then speak up against it and fight against it. Share our content. Share content of trusted sources that you see that are sharing true and verified information. And don't let people, Israel haters, get away with slandering Israel and calling us things that we're not. So we're embarking on a long and difficult path. At the end of it, Hamas will not exist as it existed up until today, the 7th of October, and hopefully Israel will restore security to our southern communities and change the security situation in our south once and for good. Please follow our content, stay tuned, stay active, stay informed, and I wish you all the best. I'm Jonathan, and this will not be the last time that we speak. Shalom.